Hello and welcome to another episode of EPMS Tech Talk. I'm Joanne LaFlamme.
And I'm Chris Costa.
So Chris, what would you like to do today?
Well, I was hoping you could help me set up user-defined fields.
Sure. Let's come over here, and to set up a user-defined field, we'll start by going into File Maintenance. We'll come up to File and choose User-Defined Fields. Now in this screen you'll see at the top here we have a variety of sections. These are all the sections or screens in Enterprise where you can create a user-defined field. You would just highlight the particular section, and at the bottom you'll see the available user-defined fields. And you'll notice these Label 1, Label 2, Label 3. When you're in Enterprise, any of the screens that you see these particular Label 1, Label 2, Label 3 fields on the screen, you'll know that those are the available user-defined fields that you can customize. And this is where you would go to do that. You would just come here and find the particular section that you want to create the user-defined field for, and you can do it here. So let's go to the job header, and let's create one of those user-defined fields. Now, the job header and the job component, those are both for orders and for estimates. So on the job header, you can see I already have this first one defined as product type. Let's add a second one, and let's add one called file location, and I'll use this field to capture where a customer is sending me a file.
Okay.
So I'm going to call it file location, and just by typing in the name here, it's going to change that user-defined field from saying label 1 on the screen to this new field name file location. Now I have a couple of options. I can simply just give it a name, and then the user can just type into that field whatever they want to type in for the value of the field, or I can create a list of choices that the user can choose from. So for this, let's add a couple of choices. Say that my customer may be sending me the file on a CD, so I'll put CD as one of the choices. Or maybe they're going to email me the file, so I'll put in email as another choice. And for now, we'll just leave it at those two choices. And I'll click Close.
Okay.
Now, a couple other things I can do is I can check off mandatory on an estimate, and or I can check off mandatory on an order, and or mandatory on an RFQ. And what Enterprise will do is, if you have any of those checked off, then when you try to save an estimate or an order or an RFQ, if this field is not filled out, you will not be able to save that estimate. And you can see on this first user-defined field, I have it checked off on all three. Another thing I can do is require a valid entry. If I check this off, the user will only be able to select from these two choices for this field. If I uncheck it, they can select those two choices, or they can enter text on their own. All right, now I've got my new field defined. I'm going to click Close here. And I'm going to get out of standards, and let's go into estimating order entry, and let's add an order. And I'll just start with by calling my description here. I'll say this order is for a flyer. I'll select my customer. And then you can see here I have my user-defined fields at the bottom. The one that was already there, product type, and I have my new one, file location. I'm just going to stop for a second and try to save this order without anything entered in product type, because if you remember, that one had checked off that it was a required field. If I try to save it, it's going to give me a message that says I must have something in that field.
Okay.
If you also remember, that particular field had checked off that I had to choose from the list. So if I type something else in that field, it does let me, but when I try to save it, it tells me it's an invalid entry.
Sure.
So this field I have to choose from the list. So I'm going to choose flyer. And now for file location, I can choose from my CD or email that I entered, or could type something in. Now say for this order, the customer gave me the file, it's on my network, and I've actually attached it to the order. So I'm going to just type in C attached. And now let me complete this order. I'll just select a template, and then I'll save the order. And once I save the order, it brings me to my job planning screen. Now I just want to point out here, there's a couple of other user-defined fields here on the job planning screen. The top one was one that I had already had defined. This would be label 5 or user-defined 5, and I've called it order type. And then we also have label 6 or user-defined 6. These two fields only apply to the order, as the job planning screen doesn't come up when you create an estimate.
Right, right.
Now, I do want to point out, too, for the order type, this field, you can use it for whatever you want, but we recommend using it for order type, and there's 2 reasons for that. One being because it's at the top of the job planning screen. It's a good place for an order type field.
Sure, sure.
And that order type, you can have whatever choices you want. It might be choices like whether it's a rerun, whether it's a new order, whether it's a pick and ship order, that kind of thing.
Yep, okay.
The other reason is because our default job ticket automatically prints this field for you, and it prints it with a label called order type,
Okay,
since so many of our customers use it for that purpose.
okay, good.
Okay.
Sure. Okay, well, now that I have these fields set up, are we able to display them in certain data grids or any of the data grids?
Absolutely.
Search on them maybe?
Let's take a look at that. You can add that field to the data grid just like you would any other field by right-clicking on the field names at the top of your data grid, choosing Options, clicking on the Columns tab, and I'd suggest clicking on the Show All Fields tab to make sure it pulls in all the fields.
Mm-hmm.
And then click on the very first field in the list, and you can either scroll down and try to find it, or a shortcut, I know I've labeled this field File Location, so I can just hit the F key, and the system will keep going to all the F fields until it finds the one I'm looking for. And then I can click on the right arrows to bring it over, and click on OK, and it's now added to the data grid here.
Okay, perfect. Yeah.
And then I can search on it. I can click on File Location and type in what I typed in the field, see attached. Click on Search, and it will find it for me.
Okay, excellent.
Now, if you didn't see the field in your list when you do that, you may have to do a reset default view the first time around, and then it will be available.
Okay, understood. Yep.
Okay.
Custom reports, same sort of thing?
You can print these fields on custom reports. You can have us add them to any of our standard reports.
Okay.
As a custom report, we can add it to any of the reports in any place that you want to add it. But another thing you can do with user-defined fields, you can go into our Reports module, and under Estimates or Orders, you have a couple of choices here. You can print out estimates by user-defined fields, and you can print out orders by user-defined fields. Let's go into Orders. When you click in here, you have a drop-down of the user-defined fields that you've chosen. So let's pick Product Type. Once you choose the user-defined field, you then see your options here again that you've defined. You can select the option you want to search for. You can put in a date range, choose your status you want to look for, and then click on Print, and it will print out a report of orders with that status for that date range that have the user-defined field set to that value.
Okay, perfect.
Okay.
Okay, so we can relabel those fields. Are there any other fields on screen that we can maybe change?
Absolutely, you can do that. Let's go back into Estimating Order Entry, and let's edit an existing order. And on some of the screens in Enterprise, you do have the ability in this little area outside of the main screen, if you just put your mouse in that area and right-click, this screen will pop up, which will give you access to changing the field names for the other fields, not the user-defined fields, but the other fields in Enterprise. So
Okay.
for example, say on the order header we have a field called Customer PO Number. Say I want to change that. I want it to just say PO Number. I'm going to scroll down and find that field. I can highlight the field. And in this area down here, under New Caption, I can type what I want that label to be. So I'm going to change this to Purchase Order Number. And then click on Apply. Now when I close the screen, I've changed that field, what used to say Customer PO Number, to Purchase Order Number.
Okay, good.
Another thing I could do is I can change the buttons too. I can, again, right-click in that area. And say I want to change this summary button. I want it to say price. So I can type in the word price. And also you'll notice for summary, the M is underlined, which means that's the short key. I can hit Alt-M to get to the summary button. Well, now I'm calling this price. Maybe on this field, I want to be able to do Alt-I. So before the I character, I can type in the ampersand sign, type in the rest of my label, click Apply, And then you'll notice the I is underlined here.
Okay, good.
Now when I hit close, my button has been changed to the word price. And now if I hit Alt-I get to the summary screen.
Okay.
Okay.
Perfect.
And just if you want to reset these, you can come back. I can come back and find the field I just changed and just hit clear. It will clear it out. I can close. You will have to just cancel out of the screen or OK out of the screen and go back into it, but the next time you go back into it, it will be back to the way it was.
Okay.
So do you have any other questions?
No, I think that's actually very good.
Well, thank you very much.
Thank you for the time.
And thank you for joining us for another episode of EPMS Tech Talk. I'm Joanne LaFlamme.
And I'm Chris Costa.
Please look forward to more to come.